Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today we're checking out an intelligent vehicle night vision device. So this one has thermal imaging as well as visible light camera systems, and it is made by Nocpix Auto, and this is the NS7. So looking at the box and everything, I really like the packaging. It's really well done. The box itself, and then the device, the main unit, was in this little tray right here. And so, yeah, being able to take it out and safely handle it and you know, separate everything without everything kind of slashing together, but yet very well done as far as the packaging. So once I got it out, here is the screen right here, and it has a attached cable that's kind of short. And then here is the actual camera, and this feels so good. It feels high quality. It has little heat sinks here on the outside. It has a 1/4-20 thread for mounting purposes. And then you also have these little places for screws to go in on all four sides, on the sides here, top, bottom, everywhere. And I really like the 1/4-20. That makes it so much easier for certain things. And then we have the visible camera here, and then this is the thermal imaging camera. So yeah, it just feels good when you're holding it. It just feels like you know, the fins are not sharp or anything. It just feels really, really well made. Just high quality feeling and solid. Very, very solid feeling. Here's the cables. There's a USB-C cable. Here's another cable here, which is connecting, you know, tying everything together, really. Here's the power supply. Just a regular cigarette lighter. It also has USB ports as well. And this is for mounting the camera. Now this can be mounted pretty much anywhere. You can mount it on the top of the vehicle, on the hood. You can mount it on the front license plate. It actually has a front license plate holder. That would be a really good location. But yeah, and it has screws and adhesives and stuff like that. Even a little screwdriver because it has small screws. The instruction manual looks really well done. It's in English. It lays everything out. Explains the procedure, how it connects, and everything. So yeah, there's different places. There's how you put the bracket on. There's where you can put it at the top. You can put it in the center. So yeah, pretty much it has since it's a thermal imaging system, you do have to have it outside the vehicle. You can't it won't be able to see through the glass. So yeah, something to consider with any thermal imaging system. You do have to put it outside the vehicle. You can't put it inside like a normal camera. So yeah, so far very impressed with it. Everything feels good. The packaging is nice. The camera feels good. Everything feels solid and well made, basically. These cables are very self-explanatory. I mean, there's not very complicated. So the male and females go together, and there's basically only one way you can do it. Let's go ahead and install this little bracket right here. Just kind of hook it on there and snap it in place like so. Once it's snapped, then it'll pivot back and forth. So I have the thermal imaging camera over here, and I have it aimed at my cup of coffee. And when we touch the screen, it'll pop up different options here. The USB cable is for using the USB storage to access that. And the USB port is here on the bottom here. And so we touch the screen. We have the driving assistance system. Once we calibrate it, once we install it on the vehicle, we can calibrate it and adjust the sensitivity and stuff there. You can also have the target box on or off depending on if you want it to highlight vehicles. And then you have different settings here for adjusting the time, the language, information here, which is the version. You can format the internal storage as well. So the screen here, you can swipe it. So you can see I have the thermal imaging here, and it gives you a picture-in-picture of the thermal imaging. This is the actual camera. And you notice the thermal imaging is much more zoomed in. So it's more cropped because the resolution on thermal imaging is not exactly the same as the regular camera. So you can see the coffee cup there, it's a little bit further back, and then you can see the thermal imaging view there. So as I swipe, it gives us to these different views here. If we slide here on the left side, it'll pop up the brightness. So we can bring up and lower the brightness, like so. Right about there looks good. On the right side is the volume. So if we swipe our finger here, then we can adjust the volume up and down. And it shows you right there. So basically any alerts or stuff like that, we can go ahead and get rid of that if we want. In addition to the thermal imaging system, it does have some driving assistance functions. And so we might not be able, like some of these we're not going to experience while we're driving, but it has the forward collision warning, person collision warning, lane departure warning, wildlife vehicle collision warning. So if there's a wildlife or a vehicle, that kind of thing. And then wildlife crossing warning. So if there's an animal approaching the road or something like that, it's going to give you a warning for that. So hopefully, while we're driving, we're not going to experience any of these particular warnings. Maybe the lane departure, but I don't want to have any close calls with collisions or anything. This is how I have it set up. Now, it depends on the vehicle, right? I just have it set up just for recording purposes. So you can see it's just kind of like suction cup there to the windshield, and then there's the screen there. So it's not really ideal. I wouldn't permanently put it here. So what I'd probably do is mount it behind the screen, popping up here, but make sure it's not obstructing my visibility or anything. Depends on the vehicle. So you have to kind of put it in a spot where it's not going to obstruct anything, and it's going to be beneficial, and you can glance at it without, if it's not too far off to the side, it's not too much in your view. So the location of the screen is definitely going to be, specific to, your vehicle and all that, and your needs and stuff like that. I just put a magnet mount here on the camera and just kind of ran the wire across the windshield here to the side and just put it into the door. Now this is just once again a temporary setup, but it does give us a good view right there at the top. Now of course the way this camera is designed, it's very easy to mount it just about anywhere. The way this thermal camera reads is that everything that is hotter is whiter. So it's a white hot system. So you can see the road is a little bit brighter than the surroundings because the road still has some residual heat from the sun shining on it during the day. And so you can see the grass, and you can see certain places where it's white will be the warmer spots basically. And as pedestrians and vehicles enter the view of the thermal imaging system, the AI software will recognize that instantly. It's very fast, and it's able to put a little box around it to identify, to point out that there's something there. The way thermal imaging works is that, it's basically looking for energy that's released from heat. It's something like that, basically. And so it's able to pick up on things at a very, very far distance. So you can see the sky, there's like clouds in the sky and tree lines at a great distance. It's just amazing how far it can pick up heat. I don't know if you can see the clouds in the sky. Like I can't see anything but darkness, right? But actually you can see the clouds in the sky and everything on the thermal imaging system. This is it's able to pick up basically an infinite distance. So it doesn't really matter is your visibility on the thermal imaging camera is not going to be limited by light, basically. It's pretty interesting. Now notice this system has very few false alarms. And some systems will have a lot of little pickup mailboxes and stuff like that as false alarms. This one doesn't seem to have that problem. It seems to be there's just a few here and there false alarms. Like it'll put a box around something that's not a car or not a pedestrian, but it's not very common. It's not really there's a few of them, but just very, very. It's not as like an issue like I've seen it with other ones, or it's like constantly like every mailbox or every tree. It's like it's happening all the time. This one's actually able to separate that. So see that sign, it's got a false alarm on that, but then it's able to recognize, and the box went away. All right, so I just got a forward collision warning system beep, just kind of alerting me that I was approaching a vehicle that was slower than me. So that's one of the driving assistance features of the system. Since thermal imaging doesn't rely on visible light, headlights don't affect the view of the thermal imaging. It's able to see, even though there's a bright lights in your face, it's able to see, pedestrians and things, even without, your actual visible. Your eyes can't see it because of the bright lights in your face, but the thermal imaging can pick it up. So there's a cat over there. I don't know if you can see that cat right here. Looks like somebody's trying to feed it or something. You can see that cat way down there. And you can see the man kind of crouched down. So you can see pedestrians will be highlighted in yellow as they walk. So they'll be identified and then highlighted. And they have to be, somewhat close to the vehicle. I mean, they can't be like really, really far away. Otherwise, the system doesn't highlight them. It's only when they're like, close enough for you to be paying attention to, that kind of thing. Vehicles will be highlighted in blue. So you can see as I get closer, the pedestrians get highlighted. See somebody on a bicycle there, and they're highlighted in yellow. Now, if you notice, that motorcycle was highlighted in yellow because it was a pedestrian. It looked like a pedestrian, but it was highlighted in yellow. Because it was basically the shape of a pedestrian, not blue. So vehicles are highlighted in blue, but the motorcycle was highlighted in yellow. I thought that was kind of interesting. There was an animal on the side of the road. It was a small one. It looked like some kind of cat or something, large cat. Forward collision warning. So I can scan this entire field right here. If there's any animals, it'll pop out in white. And it's a huge field, and so you're able to actually see really far with a thermal imaging camera. You can see that tree line is way far away. And this whole field, I can scan it right here and look and see if there's like no animals in that field, surprisingly. Now this device has an internal recording of 16 gigabytes, I believe it is. It's internal recording, so it's actually recording a visual and a thermal imaging all together. And then you can pull it up on your phone or you can pull it up on your computer. And so it's basically like a dash cam as well as a thermal imaging. So, it's still useful during the day as a dash cam. And also, there's certain scenarios during the day in which thermal imaging can be useful. So at nighttime, when there's a car coming and the lights are shining in your face, the thermal imaging is able to see around that car better than you're just with your eyes, because the headlights are shining at you, so it's kind of hard to see, right close, what's past the car to a great degree. The thermal imaging is not looking at light, so it's able to pick up past that car and show you pretty much every detail around the vehicle. So frequently, thermal imaging cameras they'll have like a slight pause and then resume, and it'll look like it's kind of stopping for a second. That's the thermal imaging camera. It basically has a calibration feature, so it automatically calibrates depending on the temperatures that are in front of it, and basically like different times and stuff. So you'll see that the camera sometimes will like pause for a second and then resume, and that's just the recalibration feature. So it's not like it's there's no problem. It's not like it's laggy or choppy or anything. It's actually a feature of the system. That's all thermal imaging cameras do that. So here we are. We can see the fields here on the side. If there was any kind of animals over here, pretty much anywhere in this field of view, we'd be able to see them, and it would highlight them. There would be bright white hot, and then they would be highlighted with a box. I like the way it recognizes parked cars as well. Some systems don't recognize parked cars sometimes, and this one seems to do a pretty good job of recognizing parked cars and stuff. So you can see the pedestrians here highlighted in yellow, and then the cars are in blue. So the pedestrians pop out quite a bit. I think this system will be pretty good for police and security guards and stuff, where they can see if there's somebody hiding out, like if there's somebody in a place where they're not supposed to be, behind a building or behind somewhere. You can actually see them. See if there's anybody back here. Yeah, there's nobody back here, but if there's somebody hiding in the dark somewhere behind a building, or just up to no good hiding in the bushes, they'll be able to stand out. Their heat signature will stand out, and then the AI system could recognize them as well. So here's the visible view. It has a wider angle, and then you have the little picture-in-picture thermal imaging up there in the corner. There's more of a linear view, not the wide-angle view. And we're back to the thermal imaging here. So I just got a notification for a forward collision warning because I was pulling up to that car fairly fast because I knew the light was turning green, and it gave me a little warning there that I was pulling up to a vehicle. So it's like a little audible warning. On a dark road like this, you're able to see and have certainty on the sides of the road. Even though you don't have the best visibility with your eyes, you can just kind of scan real fast and see that it's completely clear on the sides of the road and the fields and the woods right here. And the field of view is like it's kind of like a zoomed in look, right? So you can see ahead of you pretty good. You can see all the way down that road, and you can kind of scan, just kind of briefly glancing at the screen. You don't have to stare at the screen. You watch the road, but you're able to, if you have a situation in which you're like, there could be a deer or whatever, an animal somewhere, especially in areas in which you drive and you know where the deer typically are, you can kind of quickly scan the screen and have certainty. Like you can see there's 0 animals right here right now. So if there's one kind of lurking in the woods, sometimes they'll dart out and get scared and they'll jump out in the road. But you can kind of see that there's nothing there right now. And it's good to have certainty, as you're driving, certain places. This can come in handy for sure on the back roads and a lot of woods, and especially if there's a field on both sides of the road. There's animals could be on either side and they want to run to the other side, and they don't to them they just see like one big field. They don't realize they're on the side of one or the other side of a road. So the car starts getting closer and they want to just kind of run over to the other side where they came from, and and that's where becomes an issue sometimes. But yeah, being able to see into these fields and on the sides of the road and having certainty as you're driving is a really big plus. Not seeing a lot of animals tonight. Not a lot of activity going on, which is good for me, but there is some examples, a couple examples of what it looks like when there's an animal and there's a person in front of the camera, the thermal imaging, and also cars and stuff like that. So you can see them animals out there in that field right there. If you can see them, they pick up on the thermal imaging camera, even at a great distance. There's animals in that field too. If you can see those deer, you can see them over there, standing in the field. So at a great distance, they're not picking up on the little box isn't picking them up, but as far as like the heat signatures, you can see they stand out big time. See the animal running. I can't see with my eyes, but I saw it on the camera. It's like a cat or something.
Ever driven blind in the night? Who knows what's out there? But fear not, because the NS7 NS7 sees everything. Rolling through the black headlights ain't enough. NS7 is here. Time to level up. Critters on the roadside, shadows in the night. Turn on the screen, boom, instant sight. Infrared power, thermal light. Nothing escapes its deadly sight. Eye enhanced, tooth 1-yard stare. No blind spots left, not anywhere. NS7, all say aye. Through the dark, it won't let you die. Dual vision, clear as day. Miss something, not today. Seven-inch screen, touchscreen dream. A DOS tech, now your ride supreme. IP67, waterproof beast. Put it in a tank, it still won't cease. You could drive blind like a fool, or harness the power of night vision domination. Next time you roll through the night, let NS7 unleash your sight. Thermal mode, activate.